Hello, my name is Luke Walsh and welcome to April's ED TV News. First up for this bulletin, we've got exclusive video coverage of Water and Wastewater in Belfast, a look at why European greenhouse gas emissions are on the rise consistently across Europe, an investigation into China's newfound #1 position in world renewable investment and production, and ask, why is the UK falling behind? Why is Greg Barker under fire from the renewables industry? And finally, how to sign up for the latest free webinar on edie.net. Northern Ireland Water, the publicly owned company which provides water to residents of Northern Ireland, faced the industry for the first time since this winter's water shortages. The utility regulator's chief executive, Shane Lynch, gives us his view to ED's sister magazine, Water and Wastewater Treatment.
We've had a busy morning with lots of speakers and a long question and answer session. What were the key points that you picked up from this morning's session?
What I find, first of all, interesting and I guess refreshing is that the challenges, the sustainability challenges that we're seeing in water are very, very similar to the sustainability challenges that we're seeing in energy. The key thing that I've picked up is that there's no easy solution to this. It's a whole combination of initiatives that need to get us there, but also that we need to think about it in a holistic basis, and we need to think about the entire cost chain. There are a number of different ways of skinning the cat effectively, and it's very, very important that we examine all of those and attempt to go for the least cost solutions.
Could you give some examples of the kind of initiatives you're thinking of there?
We can do things on the demand side or the customer side, or we can do things on the supply side. And what I mean by supply is not just upstream water extraction, but also the delivery of water, the transportation of water through the networks. What I find interesting for me in the demand side, very little has happened in terms of incentivising conservation of water. And it looks to me like that's where the biggest opportunity is.
More coverage of the conference can be found on ED's Water channel, and a DVD giving full exclusive coverage will be available later this year. There's good and bad news depending on how you look at it for this bulletin on world emissions. Across Europe, emissions are bucking a trend that has seen most countries make at least some inroads into cutting their CO2 output in recent years. However, as the true force of 2009's economic downturn is calculated in carbon terms, especially in countries like Ireland, ground to a halt. This means that as production picked up last year, admittedly only slowly, there was an increase in emissions against 2009 levels. So, while emissions are up in the UK, Ireland and the States, it's not as bad as it could have been. However, governments will have to keep an eye on next year's emissions to make sure we keep to the 2 degrees emissions rises that we agreed in Cancun. Economic powerhouse China barely blinked as the recession came and went. Total wind power in China now stands at an installed capacity of 44.7 gigawatts, confirming views that the country is now the world leader in renewable generation. The rise in the figure, which was announced last week by the Global Wind Energy Council, the Chinese Renewable Energy Association and the Chinese Wind Energy Association, is substantially higher than previous estimates. Worldwide wind power has also continued to grow and almost reached the 200 gigawatt mark at 197 gigawatts, representing a 24% overall growth. However, China's good news was bad news for the UK, with worldwide statistics released by the influential American Pew Charitable Trust claiming the UK's private investment in clean energy fell by 70% in 2010. The drop in UK funding comes despite figures for the rest of the world, where overall investment grew by 30% to a new record of $243 billion in 2010. It also means Britain's position among G20 leaders slips from 5th in 2009 to 13th. China remains, of course, the global leader, attracting a record $54.4 billion in equity in 2010, a 39% increase. For more information on energy, see ED's Energy channel at www.edie.net/energy. Increasingly gaffe-prone climate change minister Greg Barker has come under fire from renewable industry chiefs after bragging about spending cuts. Mr Barker, who was speaking in the US, is reported to have claimed the coalition was making cuts that Margaret Thatcher in the 1980s could only have dreamt of. The Tory minister, who fronted a much criticised 72% cut in feed-in tariffs, was attacked by the solar industry over the comments. Renewable Energy Association photovoltaic specialist Ray Noble said, "This is an absolute disaster. No new projects will start if this proposal becomes law. The industry has been strangled at birth. The huge number of envisaged new jobs will disappear." After the success of 2 webinars with EDF Energy, Edie is to host a third one, this time in association with leading plasma technology provider Tektronix. The webinar aims to show users how to predict, control and reduce your future hazardous waste costs. This webinar will be free and is due to be broadcast live on Tuesday, 17th of May at 11 a.m. To join, go to edie.net/webinar. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.